really quite prestigious runners as well. Gem winning the Key Sanity tournament, and Ben been around for quite a while. Also putting up a very respectable NMG time.
And with that, we're about to go. Red mail is for cowards. Let's see if these players take that to heart and intentionally avoid it. It might happen. Gem's going to be the first one to pick up the item here in Link's house. It is just a piece of heart, and they are off to rescue Zelda on this rainy afternoon.
Yeah, 2 Links, one in a little dark green tunic and the other one in a little pink tunic. Both going to rescue their princess.
Yeah, so my hope here is going to be for something like Cane of Burna. I think that's the start I want to see today. Just one of those items that really you don't want to get. Doesn't really help too much. And instead, rewarded with a Fire Rod. So, going to have to be conservative of magic, but that's not a bad item to start with.
No, not at all. The Fire Rod basically killing, well, pretty much everything in one hit. You do have to watch out for your magic, but you don't only get the damage output, you also get to light torches with it, so this is already a very convenient item to start the game with.
Yeah, and of course, considering that it opens up quite a few dungeons, makes them a lot more accessible. Skull Woods, of course, Turtle Rock also requiring, indeed, Ice Palace as well. So it's a great item to get, knowing that you won't have to hunt it down. Gem trying to dodge some of these green guards, but unfortunately they give him a little bit of trouble.
$50 down here. Not too great, but at least we do have some money to start out with. That's enough to buy a couple of bombs, should we need to.
Yeah, I'm reminded the other day we had our inaugural broadcast on Speed Gaming Francais, where Scary Olive did a French commentary of one of the races. And they started with the Fire Rod as well in that race, and I was tickled to hear him call it the Baguette de Feu, which is the baguette of fire. Just thought that was a funny name for the Fire Rod.
That is an interesting name.
I guess technically that's Fire Stick, but pretty funny. So Gem and Benteezy pretty much neck and neck here as they get down to the Zelda dungeon area, as you would expect.
Yeah, really not that far apart. I mean, not a whole lot of chances for diversion quite yet until we get out of here.
Now, what is notable is that Ben's like about 1 or 2 Fire Rod shots lower, looks like 1, than Gem, when you're going to have to still farm for bombs in the hopes that you can get one for the back of escape section. That might play a role between these two runners in the early on.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to run out of, the possibility to deal damage somehow, especially with that key rat still coming up. But we'll have to see how well they know their pot contents. There's a couple of pots with small hidden magic refills beyond them, or below them, I guess.
Yeah, kind of in the path less traveled through the dark area.
Ben is already up 20 rupees, really not a huge difference right now, but he must have picked up a red rupee somewhere. No luck on the bomb farming.
Mm-hmm. And there comes a time when you're playing and you're making the run that it starts to get a little, I don't want to say nerve-wracking, but you're just getting a little antsy about whether or not you're going to find a bomb in a reasonable amount of time. Usually for me, it's around this point where I start to get, a little concerned. But you have to expect that both players are going to be in the same boat. It's very rare that one gets it and the other doesn't, providing they kill the same things.
Yeah, and I think both of these guys are experienced enough to not be too worried, and there's always the possibility of leaving the back of escape check for later, but that's really not something you ever want to do if you can help it.
So Jem takes advantage of the fact that he had picked up some of those additional pots along the way. Doesn't unfortunately pay off for him as far as a bomb. Gets a couple extra rupees out of it to bring up parity.
And Jem just grabbed another small magic refill here that Ben didn't grab, which means he's still, I think, a fire rod shot ahead, which might make all the difference.
Yeah, grabbed a couple additional pots. Both runners with the same amount of magic now as they head into the well-lit area of escape. Jem gets a double, does not get a bomb. And neither runner able to get those 3 chests checked. So we'll have to come back and see them later.
Yeah, you don't see that a whole lot.
Now, of course, the nightmare scenario is that there's a lift upgrade or something, but a bow here at Sanctuary is kind of a consolation prize, a very nice one, to be honest. Unfortunately for Jem, he does not have any arrows yet. Benteezy had picked up a couple of arrow drops along the way, so he's got 10. We get a map check now, seeing that we're full of crystals here in the Light World.
Yep, all Light World crystals is usually what you want to see. It gives a good or a better chance to have pendant dungeons not be dungeons that you know, I started that sentence wrong. Gives a good chance that the pendant dungeons are dungeons in the Dark World that you want to skip anyway.
Yeah, things like Turtle Rock, maybe Misery Mire, or Ice. Some of the longer dungeons may end up being a pendant that is not necessary. With picking up an early bow, though, really makes it so that you're kind of hopeful that Palace of Darkness is a crystal, since you may have an opportunity to do both Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness at the same time. It's very efficient.
Yeah, and I mean, as Rando has shown us plenty of times before, as much as you're hoping for never having to go into any pendant dungeons, it's usually not quite that easy.
Yeah, you can't always count on it. So a good look here and finding a sword up in the mushroom location. So that's a happy to find. Sorry, I started a sentence poorly. That's a very good item for these guys to find, having already picked up a fire rod and the bow, so they needed a melee weapon.
And the early boots right next to the sword here. These guys are finding everything that they want. They're definitely not lacking in attack power.
Jem going for that tree pull again. Pick up a few more rupees. Now, still no bombs at this point. Kind of frustrating, knowing that they're going to have to head into Blind's hut without a bomb to blow it up, unless one of them wants to go all the way down to the bomb shop. Looks like both of them are going to make that call first, just to get it taken care of. Jem's going to stop by the back of the tavern along the way, though.
Bomb upgrade, not quite what we wanted, but we're going to be buying bombs just like Ben did here in a second anyways.
And interestingly, Ben's going all the way up to the top of Cagrigo Village so that he could check the way down again, just like you normally would. We'll see if Jem decides to make the checks along the way up. Yeah, and that's the case.
There's a swagnet hiding in the well.
And a lantern as well, so starting to be a little telling. Moon Pearl, though, that kind of pulls things in the other direction.
Yeah, Moon Pearl, that's a good item to find. You're happy about that.
And now we'll get a quick look here in Blind's hut.
5 more items to find. There's our bombs finally.
Just some bombs and some rupees though so far. Piece of heart to go along with it. Nothing to write home about. Also of note is it's a very low rupee count right now.
Yeah, these guys aren't finding too many rupees just yet, which we also saw on Ben's side here. He's picking up all the 5 rupee drops under those pots just to have some more.
Yeah, you start to think maybe I do need to begin farming up every rupee I can get my hands on.
Ben is going to finish up the rest of his Kakariko checks, and I'm going to assume he plans on heading down south to the library and then to the race game. We might see Gem, since he's repped this up from the south. Oh no, looks like he's going back down. Okay. I was thinking maybe he's going to go over to Sanctuary real quick and check the bomb crocs, but I guess a better time for that will be to whenever you save and quit the Sanctuary anyways.
Yeah. Well, bottle up on the library ledge there puts Sick Kid back in play. We'll see if either runner decides to make a quick cut back into Kakariko Village after they do the maze game check.
Gem just going for it, doesn't even have to waste the bomb. Ben is going to check first.
Ooh, it is the Ice Rod. So a little bit of an advantage here for Gem, provided you want to pick up Ice Rod. You can kind of leave it there on the ground until you know you have to go to Turtle Rock. But Gem deciding to grab it right off the bat. Meanwhile, Benteezy is going to go and show that bottle to the Sick Kid.
Oh, well, that's also a blue item. Not quite as good as the Ice Rod, some would argue, but better than nothing.
And we're going to get our traditional south of Lake Hylia checks in. Or it looks like Benteezy might be heading over to Eastern Palace instead. Has that bow and the lantern, can complete the whole dungeon at this juncture. And since it is a Crystal Palace, there's really no reason to not do this unless you were hoping to save it for later.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, you still get to check 3 items here in the back of Sauceral's hut.
Gem's going to show us that Lake Hylia Island has a piece of heart on it. Just a small divergence, but gets a little bit of information. Meanwhile, Ben finds the red boomerang, a bomb capacity upgrade, and another piece of heart here in Saharshal's closet.
Yeah, so nothing too great in here. A second boomerang that we don't really need, but we're building up our heart count. That doesn't hurt.
Both players are going to enter into a fully completable Eastern Palace just around that 13-minute mark. Just under it, actually, for Ben's side. And we're going to have a very fast early crystal.
Yeah, this is definitely something that makes you feel really nice as a runner when you realize, hey, wait, I've barely been playing for 15 minutes and I can already complete a crystal dungeon. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, like there's been games where I've watched and commentated and played that you don't see a crystal till like 40 minutes. So this is always a nice start.
And starting out with the Eastern is also nice in that it is the only Light World dungeon that has 3 potential items in it instead of the 2 that you usually find. So, you know, that's a little extra.
Yeah, both runners really hoping for hammer and lift upgrade, or 2 lift upgrades at this point, instead of getting a sword or cape at this particular juncture, which might indicate that they need to go to Aghanim.
Yeah, that is always the question. Do you check every Light World spot and avoid Aghanim as much as you can, or do you just make that Aga play as soon as it becomes available?
Ben showing off that you can use the arrows there to take care of that quick skip on the staff house room. Grabs another full heart container out of that chest.
Ooh, that's a very nice find here.
Yeah, hook shot out of the big key chest early on is great. It does mean that when they do have access to Death Mountain, they're going to have that full East Death Mountain available to them now. As well, it adds a lot of neat little movement techniques that they're going to be able to do to save some time in the overworld.
I think it's pretty amusing that we have all these, damage dealing items, and we have almost all of the movement option items, except for flippers, I suppose, and the flute. But we're yet to find any lift upgrades whatsoever.
Yeah, and the real negative to this for the runners, without a lift upgrade, if they do feel that they need to head into the escape sequence to get those 3 chests, they're going to have to go the long way, all the way through the Castle Hyrule, instead of taking a shortcut through Sanctuary Graveyard.
Without being able to lift up those stones, you're not going to be able to push that grave out of the way and fall back down. So, as you say, you're going to have to do that whole sewer stuff again.
Yeah, Ben's going to go ahead and show us that, hey, there's a bunch of rupees in this dungeon too if you're low on money. Quick little shortcut to pick up about 100 or so rupees.
Yeah, preparing for that Zora money potentially. He's already up 240 rupees. These guys still, after 16 minutes, basically neck and neck.
Yep. Wow, great execution on Benteezy's side there through that room. Makes it look easy.
Yeah, he certainly does.
Now, Armos Knights, even if you're not a regular player of Link to the Past, is actually a fairly straightforward fight. Just machine gun them with some arrows and pick up your crystal. Say thank you very much.
Gem gets bopped out of the way by an Armos Knight and misses the quick kill just barely, but very nicely done from both of our runners here, and we got our first crystal at about 17 minutes.
So now I would imagine we're going to see the traditional South Lake Hylia area, so the dam, over to Mini Moldorm Cave, perhaps making a divergence into the desert area just to see what's going on the ledge in Agina's Cave, and then maybe wrapping up with Ice Rod Cave, depending on what items they find in this path.
Yeah, those are the 2 locations that are kind of the, I don't know what you want to call them, joker spots maybe, potentially.
Yeah, but if you haven't found any like mainline progression items to get you out of these Sphere 1 checks, it's more and more likely that there'll be something in those one-off spots. So they might be feeling like, hey, there's got to be something there if they finish up Mini Moldorm Cave, for example, and don't get any new places to look at.
Yeah, and with the boots in hand already, we see Gem immediately turning around. He's definitely checking Agina's Cave here.
And a divergence like this could really make a difference for the runners into where they go next. If you find something here, there's a Bombos medallion up on the ledge.
All right, can't quite get that yet, but that's good information to have.
Meanwhile, Mini Moldorm Cave doesn't really have anything except another bottle of blue potion, so did not pay off at this point.
All right, here comes the Agina's Cave check. That will show us just a red rupee.
Yep, and now Gem's going to be feeling like they're behind a little bit, having made that gamble that did not pay off.
So after Ice Rock Cave, if you're Ben, where do you go?
Well, you still don't have enough for Zora. Well, now you do. So I think at this point, I'd almost, I would fake Flipper. They have the Moon Pearl, so they can go and do Waterfall of Wishing. Additionally, there is the opportunity to go to Bonk Rocks. Neither runner has made that check yet as well.
Ooh, yeah, that's very true.
So we're getting a nice dash here set up on Benteezy's side. He'll take a look-see at what's going on here on the island, just seeing that it's a piece of heart. Choosing not to go up to Hobo. Instead, going to go to the Waterfall of Wishing.
Yep, and everything that he finds here is now a sequence broken item, so even though I'm sure both of these runners have no issues with breaking the sequence a little bit here and there, it's always good to remember where you broke your sequence and where you got your stuff from.
So grabbing Blue Mail and the Fighter Shield didn't really help, but certainly nice to find. Going to get knowledge of 300 more rupees up on the Zora Ledge, so going to be leaving that for sure. No need to come back at any point for that. And Zora himself now provides us with 500 rupees for a piece of heart.
Womp.
Yeah. Gem also getting a nice water run glitch.
Yeah, gonna be seeing the same water walk from him that we just saw from Ben, and now Ben is gonna go... Well, looks like he is determined to check those 3 chests and escape.
Yep, that's, barring Bonk Rocks, which could potentially have something. I think I would probably have remembered that first, but at any point,
The thing...
3 is better than 1, as far as I'm
exactly.
concerned.
The thing with the Bonk Rocks is, I mean, even if it has, say, a glove, you really don't gain too much from that. I mean, you do, obviously. But it's just, I don't know. It's hard to decide what's more worth it.
Yeah, and at this point, you start to wonder, like, oh, did my opponent get a bomb in the escape sequence or not? So in this case, we know, of course, that neither did, so they're on even footing, but there's always that chance when you're playing that you're like, oh, what if they killed a few more things? What if they got a bomb? And I'm, this entire transition behind. So just arrows at Bonk Rocks. So cave, this has to be it. There it is.
There's the glove. And now, as you were just saying, Ben probably thinks, oh man, I'm so far behind. Jen probably got a bomb in there, and he's already had the glove. He's probably already running around in the dark world.
So this means now that Ben's going to head up the mountains, going to have the opportunity to get all the way to the east side of Death Mountain. Paradox Cave available to him, as well as Spiral Cave on the way down with that hookshot pickup from earlier. Still no way to get to Tower of Hera, but that could change with all of the item locations available up on the mountain.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities to find a hammer or a mirror or really anything.
Instead, looks like Ben's going to go ahead and double check the Lumberjack Cave here, just make sure if there's another indicator that AGA 1 is required, but the answer is no.
Yep, sees the $50. A quick slash from Jim. Not too happy about that glove location. That is pretty trolly, I have to say. Not giving the people a bomb and then,
So the old man could potentially have something as well. Not sequence broken at this point. And just 20 rupees. This is a nice tip for escorting him out of that dark, scary cave.
Yeah, of course you're hoping for something better, but I mean, there's been other stuff that this guy's given out that nobody's happy about ever.
So a full heart container up there on top of Spectacle Rock. Underneath has another full heart container.
All the love up on Death Mountain here.
Yeah. And Benteezy is going to head all the way down now to check out the east side of Death Mountain. So it's very interesting here. They want to find the hammer, or perhaps even a Titan's Mitts down here would be okay as well. What they don't want to see is a sword upgrade or a magic cape.
Yeah, that is definitely not something they want to see.
Yeah, they're going to have to find one or the other, I think, at this point. Flute could also be a thing, but not really much that would open up for them. So, 2 more chests.
Oh,
Wow,
there
hammer!
it is. Jeez. Hidden in the last chest that Ben opened.
Yeah, Paradox Cave finally paying off. So I imagine he'll go up and take care of Tower of Hera next, and then come back down through Spiral Cave. After he picks up that second crystal.
Yeah, I would imagine so. There's Gem's Hammer just a couple of seconds behind. They're still really, really close.
And of course, this opens up all sorts of Dark World for them now as soon as they finish this off. Have access to both east and west sides of the Dark World. Not necessarily the fastest in many cases, but about as good as you can hope for at this early juncture. Finding the big key here down at the bottom of the Tower of Hera means that less likely that we might need to go into, or there's at least a chance that we won't have to go into Tower of Hera basement. Always feels good.
Gem just noticed the Cane of Samaria on the floating island. I'm not sure if Ben checked that. So that might make a difference later on.
As soon as they get Titan's Mitts and have Dark World access up here. Something to think about picking up. So we're at 1 item here in Tower of Hera. The Fire Shield was picked up by both runners. If they grab another one, then we won't have to hit in the basement, which is a nice feeling. But we got the key instead, so there's a chance.
Yeah, one more chance, 50-50 basically, if we're gonna have to go down there or not. We do have plenty of fire sources, but not the time to wait out that boring tunnel room.
Well, Ben didn't feel like he had the bumper there lined up, choosing instead to take a little walk around. I don't blame him. It's better safe than sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to get bounced down into the hole and then have to walk all the way back up. So here we are on our first meeting with the Troll Dorm.
Hammer strats means it's just 3 swipes with the hammer to take care of Troll Dorm. And if he provides an item, we're done with this. But instead, he gives us the map. So basement is in play. There is an item there. Could be good, could be useless. We'll find out. Gem, of the meantime, finishes off Troll Dorm as well, and 3 hammer swipes. And these runners are within about 30 seconds or so of each other.
Ben immediately turns around, goes back down into the basement, doesn't gamble on leaving that item behind.
Yeah, at this early juncture, you want to just get things cleared. You have the opportunity to do it. Taking a risky gamble of not checking an item like this would probably... Gotta assume your opponent would also be checking it, so...
Yeah, I would have been surprised to see either of the runners leave it behind, really, but there's always the chance.
Meanwhile, Gem, setting up the full coffee break, Ben, is actually intentionally taking some damage here in order to prepare for a death warp.
All right, let's find out where this is going. Was it worth it?
10 arrows, not what you want to see. Hoping for at least something of value in that chest. Gem also gets a nice death here. And we're about 10 seconds or so. A little under 10 seconds difference between the two runners at this point.
Here comes the spiral cave check that we predicted earlier on. Not really a very hard prediction to make, but we're gonna have to see what we find in here.
Oh, ether medallion, so not immediately helpful, but could be important later on. We'll have to see. We still haven't seen a Dark World map check, but I imagine we'll get one relatively quickly here as Ben's heading down to check the Hype Cave location after clearing out this, using the hammer on this peg and picking up this rock. Gem following right behind.
Yep, these guys still staying pretty much in step here with each other, both checking the same locations, and there's our check finally. We've got a green pendant, Thieves Town, red pendant, Turtle Rock, blue pendant, Swamp Palace. We've got Crystal 6 at Skull Woods and Crystal 5 at Ice Palace.
Yeah, so a fairly average layout of the Crystals and Pendant dungeons. Obviously, I think you'd prefer at this juncture to see Swamp not as a pendant, but perhaps that will pay off. We'll have to wait and see. Still not available to us. Hype Cave turns out to be pretty much a bust with just a green potion. Another bottle is nice, but nothing to write home about.
Yeah, not the greatest Hype Cave. These guys are also getting free potions thrown at them, which is pretty nice for them, but not really necessary, I would say.
Yeah, Ben's going to actually go up and do Pyramid Ledge here. I wonder if he'll carry it all the way up to Catfish before heading to Palace of Darkness. Since Palace of Darkness is fully clearable at this juncture, it makes sense for both of the runners to want to head there. It's another crystal dungeon with an awful lot of potential items to be found in it. Full heart container here on the Pyramid Ledge. Ben's going to just leave that behind. Low hearts at this point, but he doesn't need health.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine just leaving it there, and so is Gem. Another thing with the map check that we just had, that Cane of Samaria will definitely have to come into play for us to be able to finish up Misery Mire, which is a crystal. So we would definitely want to remember that that's up on the floating island. And along with the Ether Medallion that we found, we also know from Gem's side that we have bombos on the desert ledge. That might come into play.
So 33 minutes and 20 seconds or so into this race, we're 2 crystals already in the pockets of both of the runners and heading into a Palace of Darkness that's fully completable. Feels like a nice spot to be in if I were one of these players. Big Keys, the first item located here in Palace of Darkness, so it would have been bow locked, of course. Finding the bow so early on negates that concern.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, despite that awful escape troll where both of these guys didn't get a bomb and have their first lift upgrade hidden down there, we were still really good on time.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, both of these guys now getting through the quote-unquote bow lock section. It's pretty par for the course for Pod here, that you'll find a lot of small keys at the start of the dungeon.
There are a lot of keys to be found in this dungeon, but additionally to that, it's just so many different ways to route and navigate based on what you do find. Of course, the randomizer logic prevents you from ever accidentally locking yourself out of a location. There are more efficient paths to take based on what you find.
Yeah, and as a perfect example of what you just said, we can see already that these guys kind of ending up at the same place, but going there from a different way.
And silver arrows there are found in the location of where the vanilla big key is typically stored. Great item pickup. Makes a lot of boss fights a lot more trivial now, including the one in this particular dungeon. Helmasaur King with just fighter sword and hammer and regular bow is a little bit less fun once you break his mask off. I imagine both runners are just going to use that single arrow shot with the silver arrow now, having picked that up.
Yeah, it just makes it so much faster and easier. Once a guy gets moving with his mask off, it's really hard to aim at him correctly.
So, but I'm feeling obligated to reset the beetles in that room. Takes the search to the back of Palace of Darkness. Meanwhile, Gem is going to go ahead and head to Helmasaur King instead. Ben trying to save a key and another potential item check is working on a hammer up here. It's a little bit tricky. Use a little bit of pause buffering to make sure he's positioned correctly, and it's his second attempt. You gotta wonder if he's going to give up and just go ahead and clear.
I think he's set on it. He wants to get it, and I know he can do it. And he knows it, so he wants to get it.
There it is. So big 20 here in the big key chest. Meanwhile, Gem taking care of turtles in Turtle Room. Dark Maze nets Ben a shovel, so fetch quest, hooray.
Hooray.
And as well a full heart container, so just a little bit more health might pay off actually.
Alright, and here's the Helmasaur fight for Gem. Shouldn't be a big problem, but the silver arrows especially, as you were saying earlier.
So we can expect to find a lot of keys down here, and that's one of the reasons why Gem, I think, may have taken this path. There's nothing there on Helmasaur King, just the map. 50 rupees here in the Harmless Hallway, so that concludes all of the checks in Palace of Darkness. We've seen everything.
Yeah, not too great. I mean, silver arrows, not bad. Nobody's going to complain about finding them, but...
Yeah, no additional progression means that Gem's going to have to head back in just in case there was something valuable in the dark hallway, in the dark maze and the back halls that he had skipped prior to this.
Yeah, at the very least, he's going to be able to probably skip out on a few of the small keys here.
Well, it looks like he'll end up getting them no matter what.
Yeah. At this point, he really doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, it's just whatever way you decide to go. He went the wrong way for avoiding them, so he'll pick up both of them. So it could be that those attempts at the hammer jump may have been the difference in how these players are navigating this last part of the dungeon. When we came here, Ben was slightly ahead. And there's a chance now that Gem will have pulled ahead, depending on how fast Ben can take care of Halbasar King.
Yeah, those hammer jump attempts might have been the equalizer for now. We'll have to see. It's still not really, you know, a huge difference by any stretch of the imagination, no matter who's in the lead.
But yep, it turns out we had about a 20-second swing. And Gem's gonna go over to the Village of Outcasts. Interestingly enough, he's going from Link's house, so he's gonna go and check that dig spot out. And I don't fault him, picked up that shovel, might as well use it.
Yeah, I mean, considering how little Pod had anyway, so just another full heart container.
Yeah, but that's only heart container number 9, so I think you're not too upset that you got it.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, it's better than a bomb upgrade or something.
Yeah, both these players making really effective use of spin speed.
Ben once again shunning the full heart container.
So with Thieves Town as a green pendant dungeon, Skullwoods, of course, is a crystal, one of the 5-6 crystals. So I imagine they'll be dealing with Skullwoods first at the very least, just to see if you're going to get progression, grab a useful crystal out of it no matter what. But Thieves Town, the allure of Thieves Town is going to be great. Lots of potential items there, even though it is a pendant. And it's a relatively quick dungeon, relatively straightforward as well.
Yeah,
so, wouldn't be surprised.
I'm pretty sure both of these guys are gonna be checking into Thieves Town, maybe even completed fully just because of that green pendant.
Yeah, depending, of course, on where all of the items are located. If they get like 3 in the front and pick up 1 really early on, they might not go for a full clear, but that would be both rare to happen and a pretty 50-50 guess on whatever choice they choose to make.
So we've got a mushroom so far. Now we're gonna have to push a statue around, and Gem not having too much luck here with those Gibdos.
Choosing not to use the silver arrows, which would have made that a lot easier.
Just a small key. Gem says,
wall mastered.
yeah, Gem says, nope, not dealing with this, just take me out of here. Grabs the second key, which means you won't have to kill the Gibdos just before the Mothula boss room.
So Gem has 2 blue potions right now and a green potion, so even though he's down to 2 hearts, this Mothula fight is going to be well in hand for him.
Yeah, and with the fighter sword and hammer as weapons only, he's probably going to be relying on his fire rod if he can. And those blue potions and that green potion, it will definitely come in handy for that. Oh. Or you can just hammer them.
down goes Mothula pretty nicely. Gets a 5 arrow capacity upgrade, so the second item here out of Skullwoods did not turn out to be anything progression related, but another crystal and a 5/6 one of that is a very nice find.
Oh, very nicely done by Ben as well. Taking care of Mothula, no problem.
Nice little water walk set up. Still has shortcut over here to check the mushroom exchange here with the witch.
And we see Ben, on the other hand, walking back out of Skullwoods. He's probably going to stick to the Dark World. Oh, come on, really?
Well, can't complain about vanilla powder.
Powder from mushroom. I don't even remember the last time I've seen that in Rando. I'm not even sure if I've ever seen that in Rando.
So vanilla powder puts the Mad Batter back into play. Gem's heading over to the village, Kakariko village. Might actually go ahead and just immediately make use of that new fetch quest before heading back to the Dark Worlds.
Alright, looks like Gem really set on getting all those fetch quests out of the way as quickly as possible.
You know, Benteezy's going to give us a look here at Bumper Cave. Can't do anything about it, but we can certainly see that there's a single arrow, and that fetch quest on Gem's side paying off as he picks up the flute.
That chain of fetch quests led to the flute from Bad. I'm amazed.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things that you may be inclined to wait for the flute before turning in your mushroom. And that's obviously never going to happen on Ben's side, so we'll have to see if he ever gets over there. Might not be able to do so again until he has the mirror, and this could be a major point in the game.
Yeah, this could definitely be the first big point of diversion for these two guys. I mean, Ben staying... Ooh, there's a third medallion. So that means... Well... Unless we do need bombos, which Ben doesn't know about yet.
Yeah, if Kane ends up being flute locked, then it's hard for Ben to fake powder his way into a flute.
Well, we've already saw the Kane up on Floating Island, so all we need is a mirror, but the mirror could very well be flute locked.
Or the Kane could be in one of the Misery Mire sheds. Or, sorry, yeah, the mirror, rather, yeah.
And as you were predicting earlier, both of our runners here, Jim just pulling open the entrance, but Ben already in Thieves Town. We're gonna have to see how deep they decide to go.
Quake medallion there in the Brewer's Hut. So now we have or know of all the medallions. And with Misery Mire being the only one we'll have to go in, and medallion required dungeon that we definitely will have to go in, it won't be a problem since Bombos is right on the desert ledge. In the event that it isn't one of the two that have already been acquired by the runners, Bombos is right there for them.
You know, I was just thinking about how far away the mirror could be. And then I was thinking, since we don't technically require it, it could be in GT, but since it's blocking the Cane of Samaria, which blocks a crystal, it can't be in GT.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, at this stage, to be honest, we're really only the mirror away from glitched go mode. Flippers, of course, technically required for Ice Palace, but both of these runners are capable of getting there without.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that does mean that since mirror can't be on the pedestal, we do need mitts as well, sorry. And neither can mitts. That this does kill the pedestal as a ped required seed.
So both of our runners here full clearing Thieves Town for that green pendant. All the other items haven't been all that awesome.
Mm.
Very nice blind fight there from Ben.
Mm-hmm. So, green pendant on Benteezy's side is great to have. Gem will be following that up. Now, Gem's going to be able to flute over to check Saharshal's house to do the trade-in at his convenience. Ben, meanwhile, will have to actually run over there, find a time to path it. We still have the dig game. Stumpy as well has not been checked. So potential for a couple of good items here on Ben's side of things.
I mean, even with all the items these guys have found already, we could still use a sword upgrade at least, right?
Well, we definitely will need at least one. Just a 20 rupee in the dig game. Found relatively early on though, so it's not too bad to have to go digging. And there's the flippers though on Stumpy, so not a bad not a bad find. Doesn't really help too much. Can't get into Ice Palace without Titan's Mitt. Neither runner has checked Hobo yet, so Ben may be heading there.
Yeah, I think that's really the only thing left that he has to check here. It's not a bad check. As I was saying, I think a sword upgrade is really, it's about time.
Mm-hmm. Just 20 rupees under the bridge, so curious. And Ben's gonna go and run over to Saharshala. We're actually running out of available checks for them. They can't really get to any other dungeon logically at this point. So
Yeah,
this is the play.
there really isn't too much left, I don't think.
Mhm. Oh, just a piece of heart there. Catfish, perhaps? No one's checked catfish.
Yeah, catfish is another possibility. I guess we could... I'm really not sure. Looks like Ben is finally turning in his mushroom now.
Yeah, and this is going to lead him down a quest line that will net him the flute. So, good find for him.
Alright, Jim, where are you fluting?
Well, it looks like he's going to head up to Catfish, I think. He's going to go to this is the fastest way available to him, it seems, to go into this portal and then run all the way north.
Yep.
You know, at 56 minutes in, for them to be almost out of potential locations to check is very rare. Usually as the game goes on, you get it opens up more and more, and this one is just slamming shut, it seems. So, kind of an interesting turn of events.
Yeah, I feel like the seed has been kind of like this from the beginning. It started out pretty linear with that glove and the bomb escape.
Yep.
And then it opened up a little bit, and now we're back to only one item left. Or one location, rather.
Yeah, so we need something like Book or Titan's Mitt here on Catfish, or we're trapped.
Yeah, it could also be the mirror.
Or Mirror, yes.
I think, yeah, that's about it.
It really has to be something. Spike Cave, I guess, is available as well. And it's the mirror.
And it's the mirror. Okay. Catfish with the mirror, and Jem stays right here, doesn't save and quit. Just gonna be running back and probably checking out all the North Hyrule stuff here. Graveyard Ledge and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely gonna be his plan. King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge. And then I would assume he'll head over to Misery Mire and check the Mire Shed locations and do... or he won't be able to go to Misery Mire, sorry. Doesn't have the mitts.
He might sumo, I mean...
Yeah, good.
Unless we have to go in the swamp now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That the avoiding of swamp might be high. But that does make mitts our go mode item.
That's just $20, and meanwhile Ben picking up his flute finally, gonna activate it right away, of course. Ooh, look at that.
There it is. So at 59 minutes and 11 seconds, puts Gem in no mode. He knows where everything he might need is. Can go ahead and clear things at his leisure. Gonna head to pick up that Cane of Samaria first, which makes absolute sense. Then down to the Mire area to do Mire Desert.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he's still short a little sort of grid.
Yeah, but ideally gonna find something along the way.
Yeah, we would definitely hope so. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to find something.
Yeah, the benefit here for him is that Desert and Misery Mire You're likely going to have to check all those chests anyway, just the way that the dungeon works. Ice Rod is the one, Ice Palace is the one that you can skip a lot of chests in if you're in true go mode.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as he finds a sword before then, he's going to be a happy camper. Additionally, he's going to probably check all of Hookshot Cave to go along with this. And the Mire Shed location, Checkerboard Cave, as well.
Yeah, it's all right around the corner, and there's plenty of items here, so it will be kind of risky to not at least check this.
Yeah, another bottle.
That is our fourth and last bottle. So we had 2 free blue goos and 2 free green goos in our bottles, and half magic.
Yeah, half magic is nothing to sneeze at. You know, you definitely would be preferring to find the sword, yep, but half magic does make life a little bit easier in any of these dungeons, especially against Tower Climb, just can be a little bit more free with your magic usage. So he's gonna go and do Ice Palace first, maybe.
Yeah, looks like it. Interesting choice. I was sure he was going to go do the Mire and Desert combo first, but why not?
Yeah, that is a interesting routing call, because in the event that he could have found a sword upgrade in either of those two places, this is a dungeon that you can full clear in about 3 minutes. Or not full clear, sorry. Go mode clear in about 3 minutes. Full clear is almost twice that time.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens here. I mean, he has plenty of stuff to kill all these Pengators with, but having a better sword would have made that a little more convenient at least.
And let's see what Benteezy chooses to do. If he makes a different call here, it could be the deciding factor of this game. Once he gets up to the top of that mountain, picks up his Cane of Samaria. Now, maybe he's thinking that, hey, this is the other 5-6 crystal. So, by doing it now, has access to some additional checks. That might be Jem's thought process.
Yeah, that's true. That could be a consideration.
And we do know that Bombos is on the desert ledge. We've seen it, so we know it's not on pedestal chat. Sorry, your prayers have not been answered.
Alright, Ben also picking up his last bottle and going to be picking up his half magic, and then of course his Cane of Samaria.
Well, there's a sword upgrade on Jem's side, so he can now go mode the rest of this dungeon if he so chooses. Very, I don't want to say it was lucky, but fortunate call for him that happened.
Yeah, and a very convenient location for the sword to be as well in the dungeon itself.
Mm-hmm. So that was a big payoff on Jem's side. Something that I would definitely love to be able to ask him what made him think to come here first. Unfortunately, because we're going to go right into game 2 following this race. We won't have an opportunity to have a chat with either of the players after this particular matchup. And his Bombos in Misery Mire, we do know, of course, that it's on the Desert Ledge. Of course, I don't think Ben has seen that Misery Mire or the Desert Ledge is Bombos yet. Jem does know that for a fact.
Yeah, luckily for Ben, he's probably just going to check out of habit anyways in a second, so he'll find exactly what he needs just a couple of feet away, and I guess one dimension hop as well. Jem is just going hoping that it's not that one medallion that he's missing, but it is, unfortunately.
No. Boots Lock Desert, no big deal. We found Boots so early on that you've been running the whole seed.
There's a laser shield hidden here.
Yeah, and if you're Ben, you're really hoping to find something like Master Sword here. Of course, now that also would mean that Jem likely to pick up his Tempered Sword, just giving him an even greater advantage at this point.
Yeah, if they do find another sword somewhere here, that could mean, yeah, just exactly what you were saying a second ago.
But by that same token, if he doesn't find a sword here, he's going to have to make his way all the way to Ice Palace without one. Just another possible situation where you have to full clear ice. You might not get as lucky. You might take a slightly different route.
Okay, we're coming up on the Lamb-O-Lost fight here for Ben. Half magic, silver arrows, whatever he chooses to use shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, plenty of arrows, lots of magic power. Oof, missing twice. Oh, catching that second one on the way down, so recovering. And takes down Lamb-O-Lost with those silver arrows, picks up 3 bombs for his trouble and a crystal.
That's going to be crystal number 5 here for Ben.
The worst thing another bad thing that could happen here is we could get a God mode Misery Mire, finding the big key right off the bat to go along with the small key that's guaranteed to be picked up here in Misery Mire. And that might force him to think about full clearing to look for those items. Jem, meanwhile, is going to be able to just take advantage of that. So we'll see if that comes into play as well.
So Ben gonna head into Misery Mire about, I don't know, 20 seconds before Jem, but unfortunately 1 crystal behind currently.
Ooh, gets a really good 1 cycle through the Wizrobes there in the entrance to Misery Mire. just a couple small keys to start things off. And a piece of heart, so one item found here in Misery Mire.
Still no other sword found so far. I mean, of course, there's always the potential of the other two swords being in GT itself or hiding on the tablets or somewhere.
Well, there's the second item. 20 rupees, so Misery Mire does not pay off. Turns out that Ice Palace's sword upgrade was the play to make. And big key acquired on both sides of the screen.
Yeah, thankfully for these guys, they still had to go through quite a lot of this dungeon, but at least they got to skip the torch room. Oh, look at that sink.
Synced up. So we'll have to see if the runners have spooky action in their back pockets. That could be a noticeable difference between the two. Ben getting a little trolled there by Wizrobe. Didn't want to get hit by him.
Oh.
Oh, accidentally bonking his own block off the button. So Ben hasn't missed a sword, he just hasn't gone to Ice Palace yet.
Looks like both of our runners here getting, perfectly done by Gem. Ben seems to have missed it. We didn't have the sound on his side. He tried as well, shot the fire right at the moving spike.
Yeah, he did not get it. So just another, I believe that's something like 17 seconds.
Yeah, it does take quite a while. All these screen transitions and having to hit the crystal switch and everything. And an extremely quick Vitreous fight as well. And that is going to be the last crystal for Gem. And you all know what that means.
Absolutely. That does mean that it is time for you to play the Big Key guessing game. If you are a subscriber of any of the Speed Gaming family of channels, or you have donated 250 bits in support, you can enter a number between 1 and 22 in the chat now as to where you believe the Ganon's Tower Big Key is going to be located. So, Herfy, what's your call on this Big Key guessing game today?
Has always been and will always be number 8.
Alrighty, I'm gonna go with number 3. It's my go-to when I don't have any particular sway. Sometimes I just like to watch them bonk that torch.
Yeah, that's a pretty good choice.
So here we see Ben having to go through Ice Palace in regular mode. Gem managed to pick up so much time by making that call first. Very noticeable difference.
Gem just about here, opening up Ganon's Tower while Ben is making short work with Quake.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be entering the tower now. I hope you got your guesses in, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see where the key is to be found.
Mm-hmm.
Chest number 1 is just a big red rupee. Now, finding a key here does make Gem decide to go all the way on the right hand side, goes all in, skips the tile room.
Yeah, probably gonna finish up this side here, up to the 4 chests, gonna grab that small key under the pot in the next room, and then might mirror out, we'll have to see if he fully commits to the right side play.
So my guess of number 3 falls apart there. A couple more big red rupees found. There's a single. And 6 chests in, still no big key.
Looks like back we go onto the left side. But then it's getting trolled by that horrible fire bar.
Oh, a couple of frustration slashes on Ben's side as he picks up his Master Sword.
Yeah, finally finding his sword upgrade that he's been looking for.
So we are on 8. 8 is no good. 9 also, just some arrows.
There goes my guess. Number 10, just a small key.
And 11 as well, so 11 chests in, still no big key.
And at this point, Gem might be thinking, oh, maybe I should have committed to that right side play, but there's still a couple of chests left before we're hitting the ice almost.
Number 12 is the Book of Medora.
Sure, why not? We're leaving some bombs.
$13, $14, $15 is the cape, and $16.
Man.
Or wait, was that 17? I might be off by 1.
Yeah, I think it was 17.
Yeah, that's 17.
Coming up on number 18 here, Bob's chest. Oh god, yeah. Chest. Well, at least it's a free refill. Alright, so we're making sure that we're getting a second chance with all the bosses that we could possibly get a second chance with.
Oh, 18. 19. That was 19, right? God!
Yes, that was 19.
My counting is so bad. So 19. If you were correct, congratulations to you. Don't worry, I was just trolling you, chat. So the first sub or supporter who correctly guessed this was Numberplay, who was really, really adamant that I count correctly in chat there. So congratulations to you, Numberplay, for your spot here on the leaderboard Forever will you be emblazoned upon it until such time as we decide to reset it.
Fitting name as well to win the number guessing game.
Both runners now making their way through Ganon's Tower. Gem in the gauntlet. Benteezy still hunting for that big key. So, providing, even if Gem doesn't find a Tempered Sword along the way, this is going to be a nice, fairly straightforward Ganon fight with silver arrows. Master Sword does mean he's going to have to use spin attacks in order to progress the damage meter, but when you have half magic in the cape now, that makes things a lot easier than it was just a few moments ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very nice Lambo 2 fight here.
And Gem on my favorite rooms of the Gauntlet climb. The Wizrobe areas just feel so powerful. Killing 4 enemies at once.
Yeah, it always looks so good as well. And Ben doing the old left, right, left play again in Tower.
Yeah. I don't know that, considering where things are, this is about the worst path he could take.
Gem's still looking for a sword. He probably, as you were saying, has no issues doing Master Sword Ganon, but he would like to avoid it if at all possible.
Yeah, it's no one wants to do Master Sword Ganon, but here he is on Troll 2. Got one more chance for a Tempered Sword, but with items like, dungeons like Turtle Rock, Skull Woods, and still on the table. Pretty good chance that that's where we would have found some additional sword upgrades.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like it. Nothing more to find here in Ganon's Tower.
And Gem's gonna go and start us off on our Aga 2 fight. Let's see if he can play the geometry game well enough to show this guy who's boss. Just a single on the first route.
Looks like a nice setup. Oh.
Those blue balls interfering. So 3 singles so far. And a triple to finish it off.
Very nice.
Oh, Bob gets taken out by Ben. Callously converting. Oh, lets him out of the. Thought he was trying to powder him, but just let him out. Or glitched the other anti-fairy in that room. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Alright, here we go. 1 hour, 24 minutes in. We're getting our first Ganon fight.
So you'll see here that you do have to get spins on Ganon to do any damage. And it's important that you're careful because the fight is much longer than you might be used to otherwise. And can be very dangerous. Gets past phase 1 relatively well done.
Yeah, lots of double hit.
Yeah, lots of doubles on some of these spins for sure. Also making use of the half magic cape. We also have 2 green potions in our inventories, both runners, so they're going to be able to make use of that along the way. Gem actually stopping to hold the wall there to save magic power.
And already in phase 3, so the hardest is probably done here for Gem. Just needs to make sure that he doesn't get knocked off somewhere.
Gets his second shot off on Ganon, and potential here for the double. He's going to get it. And with that, Gem has defeated Ganon. And as long as he's able to cross this incredibly treacherous 3-tile-wide bridge, he's going to enter the Triforce win room and claim victory in this first race in this best-of-3 matchup. Whew! Safe. With a speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 59 seconds. Gem gets his first point in the race. Meanwhile, Benteezy is sticking on his menu. Must have seen the dot done, deciding what he wants to do with the end of this race.
Yeah, probably wants to get into game 2 as quickly as possible. We'll just have to double check here what's going to happen. GG to Gem, though, definitely very nicely done, and good choice there on the Ice Palace. That seemed to have made all the difference at the end.
Yeah, and it turns out that Benteezy is going to elect to retire from the race at this point in order to help give these runners a little bit of time to rest, relax, and prepare for their second matchup, which will be happening later on this afternoon in not too long of a time. It looks like about 40 minutes or so from now. I believe they're scheduled to race at 4 p.m.
Yeah, I believe the official scheduled time is 4 p.m. I think they might be trying to get it on the road as quickly as possible here. We're going to have to find out.
Yep. So it will be happening here on Speed Gaming 4 as well. So if you're interested in seeing the follow-up race, I would stay tuned to this channel. It will be taking place as soon as the crew can get put together and the runners are ready to start up that second matchup. Probably somewhere around 15 minutes at a minimum, but could be as much as the 40 minutes that they had originally allotted. It will depend on when everyone gets together. But we will not be having a chat with the racers at this point because they are getting set up for that matchup.
Yeah, stick around. We're going to get the second match started as soon as we can. The GG to Gem again for winning game number 1 here. Very well played by both guys.
Yes, and so if you're looking for something to watch, started at 3:30, so in about 10 minutes. Kyong92 and Ozipone will be getting going on Speed Gaming, the main channel, as well. Oh, hey, it's David versus Dao Tom? I'm not quite sure, sorry. That's taking place on ALTTP Randomizer 2. This game, matchup 2, Gem versus Benteezy, as I said, will be taking place as soon as things get put together, probably in about 15 to 40 minutes. And then as well at 4:30, Christos Owen versus Ganon's Gone Wild, going to be happening on Speed Gaming 2. And then at 5, Dragon Master 0283 versus Freddy on Speed Gaming 5.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much going to be it from us here for this race, at least. And with that, I want to say thank you to our tracker, Zelda Desan, who did an awesome job at keeping track of all these items for us. And of course, also thank you to everyone involved behind the scenes. And last but not least, thank you to my co-commentator Crowzone. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Herfy, for helping me talk through this particular seed. It was great fun to watch, and we'll see all of you in the next race.
Yep. Have a great day. Bye.